You ever wonder why it seems so hard to build good credit? How do you even get good credit? But more importantly, how do you keep good credit? Well, in this video, I'm gonna show you how to instantly get good credit and take your score to a 700. I let my credit score drop all the way down to a 579, and within 6 months, I was able to get it all the way back to a 720. So in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly step by step what I did to go from a 579 to a 720 so that you don't have to stop not qualifying for cars, houses, going on the trips that you want, to be able to have access to what the wealthy have access to. You see, credit is a game, and most people don't understand how to play the game because most people are playing the credit game without actually knowing the rules. So I'm gonna give you the 5 rules of credit that if you wanna go from failing at the game to winning the game, you can know exactly how to take your credit score from 0 to over 700 in this video. Rule of credit number 1 is your FICO score. Most people don't understand this, but your FICO score is an algorithm that calculates based off your consumer profile that's made up, that is reported from credit card companies to credit bureaus, and then an algorithm takes those, and that's what makes up your credit score. So if you understand this process, the first thing you need to do is you need to understand what exactly is on your credit profile. Based off these inputs, it's then put into an algorithm software called FICO, and then based off of the 5 things that I'm going to tell you later on in this video, then that determines exactly what your credit score is. And so what most people are trying to do is they're fighting ghosts. They don't actually know what their FICO score is. So you can go on Credit Karma and CreditWise, but that doesn't actually tell you what your FICO score is. So in the next point, I'm going to show you exactly where to go and what to look at so that you can know exactly how to understand what your FICO score is and what exactly makes up that 580, that 620, so that you can get to a 700. So number 2 is you want to go to annualcreditreport.com. Now don't confuse this with freecreditreport.com, because if you go to this site, you're actually going to have to pay. But if you go to annualcreditreport.com, the government gives you 1 free credit pool that you can do for yourself so that you can download Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian so that you can look at your profile. And what I suggest is that you get on there, print them all off, and you start to take a look at it. And what you want to look at is 3 things. Is the information accurate? Is there anything that is inaccurate? And what things are inaccurate, how can you dispute them? What you want to understand is if you can control the narrative on your consumer report, this is how you can change your FICO score. So the next question is, how is your credit score even calculated? So I'm gonna go to the iPad and I'm gonna draw something for you so you can understand exactly. And once I understood this, I was able to hack the algorithm, and this is how I was able to go from a 579 to a 720 in just 6 months. So the first thing you want to understand is what are the total points of the game in order for you to win. So with the credit score, you have to understand that you can go from 300 to an 850. And what that does is that gives you a total of 550 points total that you can have that's eligible for your score. So here are the 5 points that make up those 850 points and the 550 that you can actually get. It's 35, 30, 15, 10, and 10. So what do these numbers mean? Well, 35 means the biggest percentage of your credit score is factored by your payment history. And once I understood this, that's when the game changed for me. Because what I was told was the second one was the most important. So the only thing I did was try to fix this second point that I'm gonna tell you about here in just a second. And that's why I just kept chasing my tail around and around. And from then, I was never able to actually move my credit score up, but maybe 20 to 40 points. I was never able to crack 700 in a credit score. So the payment history. Now, thinking about the 550, stay with me, because 35% of your credit score based off the 550, you know how many points that's eligible for you to have? That's 192.5. So you print off your credit report and then you take a look at it and you look at your payment history. So let's say that you've got 5 late payments on there. I'm gonna pull out my calculator. So if 35% of your payment history is calculated on your credit score, and the most amount of points you can get is 192.5, and you've got 5 late payments on your credit history, that means that each one of those late payments is costing you 38.5 points. See, once I figured this out, it changed the game and I was able to crack the code. And then I went and found some things that were on my credit report, because late payments is illegal. Go ahead and look it up. And once I figured this part out, I realized that that couldn't be on my credit report. And just removing those, I was able to get back over 192.5 points for my credit. And that's how I won the game of credit. So 30% is utilization, right? And so 30% of your credit score is made up by your utilization, which means that you get a total of 165 points total. So your utilization makes up 165 points of your credit score. So what you need to do is you need to get your utilization under 10%. Now, this may seem difficult if a lot of people have a lot of debt. And this is where I would implement the snowball method. So what's the snowball method? Well, the snowball method is that you line up all your credit cards from smallest to largest. And then the first thing you want to do is you want to maintain the minimum spend on all credit cards, and you want to attack the smallest one first, and you want to pay that one off. And then you want to roll the payments that you were making from the smaller credit card into the next larger credit card, right? So if you got 5, you want to put them from 1 to 5. You want to attack 1 while maintaining the minimum payments on 4. And then once 1 is paid off, then you want to roll those payments into 2. And this is the snowball method that can help you to get your utilization under 10% and pay off your credit card debt. Okay, so then we have the 15, and 15 is the length and the age of your credit. And this is worth 80.5 points. So the length and the age of your credit is going to be all of your credit history, right? And then it's going to be averaged over the total amounts that you have, and that's going to give you the age of your credit score. Not really much you can do about that, because even if you start a new credit score, new credit card, or a new line of credit, what happens is that actually kind of hurts you in the beginning because it cuts down the age of your credit. So this is one that I wouldn't focus on, which most people just try to do, is they keep applying and getting denied, which lowers their score, or they keep opening up new lines of credit, which also affects their score in a negative way. Next is number 10, which is the mixture of credit, which is the different types of credit that you have. And this 10% is worth 55 points. And this is the different types of credit. Lines of credit, a Macy's card, a Capital One card, all of those things make up the total of about 55 points that you're eligible for getting to help boost your credit score. And then the last 10% is new credit, which is also about 55 points. And so you can see right here, what most people are taught is that you need to get your utilization down and you need to open up new credit cards. And this is why people are failing at the money game, right? So just looking at this, the 35 and the 30%, if I'm able to attack the late payments and the utilization, this is how I can win the game of credit. And once I figured this out, this is when I cracked the code. You know why? Is because even if I had a credit score of a 550 or a 579 like I now had access to 357.5 points to take my credit score from wherever it was, in bad credit to good credit, with just using these 2 steps. This is powerful. So now that we've mastered the game of credit and we understand the rules of the game, now we need to track it. So the things that we need to do in tracking it is we need to go to Credit Karma or we need to look at our existing credit cards. And this is where we're gonna have access to our credit score, so we can look at this on a daily. We can see exactly what's on here, and we can see when we're taking action by removing payment histories that are late. And as we're lowering the utilization by using the snowball method, we can start to track our progress, and you can see that you're starting to having some momentum and chipping away from getting to that 700 credit score. And again, I did this in 6 months after letting my credit score drop to a 579. So I'm not telling you anything of theory. This is some actual practice that I did myself in the last 6 months to get over a 700. And what I learned from this is that in the business of credit, right, this country makes billions, hundreds of billions of dollars off of higher interest payments, because that's how they make money. Loaning you money out of thin air and charging you 10 to 20%. So what I've learned is that somebody who has less than a 700 credit score pays twice as much for the exact same thing. I can remember back in 2017 when my credit was terrible, my daughter had just had an accident in a car that I had, which was a 2015 Nissan Altima that was $24,000 with bad credit at a 9.5% interest rate. I paid $40,000 for that exact same vehicle because I had a poor credit score. So again, people with poor credit scores pay twice as much for things. So if you're not earning enough money to take care of yourself, you're getting taxed at the highest level because you're a W-2 employee, and you have to pay twice as much for things, how are you gonna win at the game of money? More importantly, at the game of life. And the fifth, final, but probably the most important rule of winning the game of credit is, how do you raise your score? So what you want to do is you want to use the other two methods, which is one, you want to get late payments removed off your credit history. And then two, you want to use the snowball method to remove credit card debt and get your utilization under 10%. And then finally, if you have bad credit and you can't get a credit card and you're gonna work on getting your payment history taken care of to raise your score, the next alternative is secured credit cards. And I can remember, this is instantly how I was able to raise my credit score about 50 points just by doing this one thing. So what happens when you use a secured credit card is you're using your own money for collateral. It sounds crazy, but this is effective in two ways. Number one, it gives you instant access to your credit profile, because what I didn't know before I got my first credit card is when you have a credit card, you have access to your credit score and your credit profile 24/7. But the second thing is now you get to understand all the other factors that go into your credit. And in order to play the game, you have to start playing the game. And the way I had to start playing it was I signed up for a secure credit card with Capital One. I put down $500 of my own money, and then I just used it for gas once a month to put 20 bucks on there. And then I paid that off. And then within 90 days, my credit score shot up about 50 points. And then that's when I started really playing the game, taking this credit score thing seriously. And that's when I started to money master the game. So if you found these 5 tips helpful, this is how you can take your credit score from bad to good instantly and get your credit score over a 700 with these 5 helpful tips. Hope this video was valuable. If you like this video, go ahead and click the link to subscribe. Also click the like button. But more importantly, comment below and let me know which one of these tips was profound and helpful for you. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video.